Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to be discussing the social side of gaming and kind of like a brief catch-up as well. Before we begin, if you would like to leave a like on this video, it would help me greatly, and also smash the subscribe button so that you never miss an upload. Also, what you can look at as well is the images in this video are models that I have painted. One or two of them may have already sold already, and I will put listing links to them in the description. So if you are interested, I am basically attempting on the side to, paint some models, earn some money, usual thing. Everyone's living the dream. Anyway, on to the main topic of the video. So for me, when I think back of the reason I kind of got into the hobby, there'll be loads of things that'll come up. It's, there's the sci-fi side of the 40k. I mean, even if you're into the Warhammer, even if you're not into the original Warhammer and the Age of Sigmar, there is still a fantasy theme to the 40k. As much as people may deny it, I think you can definitely get along and on board with that sort of thing. There's also like the painting side and the building and the modelling and generally the fun stuff too. But I think for me, a big element of this and the reason I kind of got into it was a social reason. Now I know there's going to be some people out there who will disagree. And generally, some people literally hobby alone and they don't have any any people to play against or any such things like this. But for me, I may have already shared this story in the past, but, oh, excuse me, it was very rude. When I first got into the game, I can't remember exactly the year, but it was 3rd edition. 40k, and I remember one of the first moments was pretty much, I remember going around to my friend Adam's house, Adam and James, and they and Mikey was there as well. So at that time, Mikey wasn't exactly a close friend of mine. I'd kind of just met him around that time, and I'd popped around, and he had his Blood Angels Space Marines, and kind of got introduced to it that way. So it's like, oh, what's all this about then? Oh, well, it's basically a game. I can't remember if Danny was there on the same day. I may be wrong, but I was looking at the models thinking, oh, these are kind of cool. What's the crack with these? And it's like, oh, well, it's a game that you can play. You do this, that, and the other. I also recall, apologies Mikey, that you used to make your own rules up at the time, and by make your own rules up it was like, oh yeah, he's got like a 2-up invulnerable save or something like that at the time, which I don't think existed, or if it did, whatever. I may be wrong, and I may be misremembering this, so apologies if I have. Nobody's memory is perfect. I suppose though, what I'm egging at here is there was a big side of the hobby which was due to the fact that it's like, oh, well, my friends are getting into this, and, I kind of like my friends, and it seems kind of cool too, in an uncool way. Embrace the nerd part of yourself, definitely, every time. And, so when I think back, I sometimes think of, like, say, the hobby side of it, and all the rest of it, but if I actually think about it properly, it would have been socially influenced, like the fact that we just, we hung out together, and they've started doing it, so, it'd be kind of cool to do it. But now I think, as I've aged, and I'm currently, I'll say mid-30s, I want to say early 30s, but it's not true, 34, I am. So weekly, generally speaking, it's either every week or every fortnight, I generally have a game against one or more of my friends, and we had a game just this evening gone, which I have dubbed the Veritas Brigade, the Tournament of Veritas, which, if the Latin amongst you will know, Veritas means truth, so it sounds like Tournament of Truth. And so we get together as a bit of a social thing as well, and also we go and hang out. So it's an excuse to be social also. So whilst we do share in a group chat of when we've been painting, and to be fair, Adam is absolutely smashing through his painting backlog at the minute. He's painting them just as fast as he's buying them, so he isn't guilty of the grey boxes and boxes of shame. He doesn't have that. He's smashing through it. But we also keep in touch, and there is obviously, and my man Jimmy, who I went to Warhammer welding. If you see one of the older videos, you'll see pictures of Jimmy. He wasn't originally part of the Mikey and Adam group, but now we've kind of brought them together because of this is again another social element, and this is another thing that I like about Warhammer, is that it does bring people together, and even people who would not normally be in the group, it can bring people together. So I've made friends outside that I wouldn't have normally bumped into, just through, I had a friend called Lee, who I've played a couple of games against, been to Akron, bought models, sold models, that sort of thing. And again, I wouldn't have had that friend without the hobby itself. So whilst there's a lot of good things about the hobby in general, I mean, there's a lot of bad things too, but in general, the main element is sociability. And I'd even go so far as to say that even if you literally hobby alone, there's a solid chance that I'd wager that even if you're not sharing pictures on social media, you probably will be part of some groups. You'll probably watch some videos or even make them yourself. You know what I mean? Like, there is, and even that is like part of sociability that the hobby can bring. And overall, for me, it is a main social thing. And I think as you get older and as you've had children, you've got work and you've got your busy life and all the rest of it, the fact that you can set some time aside to make an excuse, especially if you're not as as manly as everyone else like myself. I'm not excessively the most manly person, so I don't really go and watch a lot of football and rugby and all the rest of it, or soccer to my American fans. So I'm not, I'll say that I have been doing boxing, which is taking a lot of my time up the last 7-8 months. So if there's a good reason why I'm not on the videos as much, it's pretty much because of that. I think for me, even if you aren't, I lost my train of thought there. What I was attempting to say partially is the fact that as men generally, in the past, I find my generation isn't too terrible at it, but it does give you an excuse to hang out, to talk, to rant about your spouse or the lack thereof, or ex-wives in some certain people's situations, not being the most reasonable of women in the world, probably preached and converted. It does give you an outlet to talk, generally speaking, and I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of mental health, but I think I know a lot of people who are struggling, and sometimes some people, all they need is a little excuse to have that chat, because sometimes you may feel a little bit like you're overburdening someone, and you might go, oh well, I really wouldn't mind actually having someone to talk to, but then I want to rant about this other stuff. I nearly swore then, do apologise. They won't want to hear about that. Whereas if I'm going to go play a game of Killteam, and one of my guys basically says, oh yeah, I've been having some crap from this guy at work, I'll be like, well, I'll listen. So I will listen anyway. but they will feel less bothered because they've also invited me around to entertain me too. So, you know, there is a bit of that. And this is another one of the positives, is what I'm going to say, is you get together, you make an excuse, and it's not just about the hobby. It isn't. It is about sociability. And I think there is the possibility now that I may have rambled on for a very long period of time, possibly too long even. And I think that I will probably call the video here, but what I will say is if you've made it to the end, if you stuck it out, then obviously leave a comment and tell me about how it is sociable for you, the positives, sometimes even the negatives if you like. Everyone likes a good rant, as we've just aforementioned, and pop it in the comments down below. And like I said at the beginning, genuinely, if you're semi-interested at least, make an offer on one of the list items there, and check the other ones out too. And if you let me know where you've come from, we'll definitely maybe make some extra discount for my followers and fans and such. So yes, I will end the video here, and I will wish you a good day.